On today's episode of Village Talk, we discuss teenage sibling rivalry. Welcome to Empowered Kids TV Village Talk. I am so excited to have you here. You're here because you know that every family has the potential to be great, and you're willing to push the boundaries of your mindset so that you can create the family of your dreams. Today, we welcome back one of our super coaches. We're welcoming back Carole. Carole, it's nice to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
For those of you that haven't seen Carole before, be sure to check out our previous episodes. I'll put a link to them down below. But I'd like to introduce you to Carole. Carole is a certified parenting coach who is committed to supporting parents and bringing alive a sense of joy and deep connection with their children. With her background in both nursing and psychology, she combines her professional and personal experience to assist clients in navigating challenges by embracing the process of growth and transformation. She is also a certified life re-entry practitioner and specializes in working with parents who have lost a spouse or are transitioning to single parenting after divorce. She loves working with parents and believes that everyone has the capacity to experience the qualities of balance, peace, and playfulness in their parenting. You can find out more about Carole at cmdowning.com. Carole, I'm so excited to have you with us today.
Thanks, Nicole. It's good to be here.
All right, today's question comes from Vanessa. Vanessa writes, I have two boys, age 11 and 15. They have the love-hate relationship between them, and some days are easier than others. My boys got into a scrap, which resulted in the 11-year-old getting hurt. Nothing serious, but still unacceptable behavior, kicking in the face. It's not like my eldest to be aggressive, and I'm sure many times he's being provoked by his brother. I don't believe in taking sides, so when they have their scraps, they both get disciplined, usually by removing phones or taking away privileges. I've grounded my eldest, but he is threatening to disobey me and do as he pleases. What are your views, and can you help? Ooh, that's again another tough one, yeah.
Yeah. I love the the realness of these questions because there's so many layers. Like these,
Yes.
this is families in action, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
My first thought on this, something that makes me think immediately is when she says it's not like my eldest to be aggressive. Like in that, and I sense even in the whole question that she has a lot of insight into her boys. But this sense of this isn't like him to be aggressive. And what I'm wondering is if, to kind of get a sense is what's changing. And my first thought is we have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. And that even if they may have been playfully, scrapping in the past, wrestling or whatever, that now there may be a shift for that 15-year-old in moving into a very different developmental stage than his brother. And that may be challenging for both of them. That 15-year-old may be needing more independence, more space, more ability to begin to individuate as a young man. And the 11-year-old may be feeling that.
yeah, like why does he have more? Why does he have more than I do? Yeah, I can totally see that, Carole.
Yeah. So that's my first thought, is to look at the developmental changes and to get curious with them both in a moment that's not heated.
Yes.
To get curious about, and to notice with curiosity, this seems different than before. I know you guys sometimes wrestle, but this seemed more aggressive. And, we're a family that doesn't, setting a limit, as we've talked about before, of, we're a family that doesn't hit or kick. Right. So setting that limit and then getting curious, like what's underneath it? What's different this time that's happened?
Okay. I love that. And I love bringing the kids into the solution, because I think kids are so much more powerful than we give them credit for in finding the solutions to the problems that we have within our families. So I love just bringing them in and giving a listening ear to each of them, really validating their feelings, because I think it's important when we get to that space, especially developmentally, when we're moving in different directions and our relationship dynamic is changing, and there's so much fear that can come with that, especially between siblings. It's important to give each of them an individual ear, just to kind of hear what's coming up from their deep feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and I love your thought of like individually giving them,
Yes.
talking to the older teen on his own,
Yes.
like, what are you needing?
Yes.
What's different? Is it hard for you to have your little brother with you as much as he has been in the past? Like just acknowledging the changes in the relationship that might naturally come with growth,
Yes.
and then honoring for each of them the connection that they do have. What
Yeah.
she names it, a love-hate relationship,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen this in even in my own family. My kids are closer in age, so I'm lucky that the changes don't happen with just a spread in terms of the age range. But even as like my older son moved into secondary school while the younger stayed, there was a change because that shift from primary to secondary, my older boy felt like he needed to be more independent, and he was, right. He started traveling to school on his own. He got a mobile phone, and so he was doing a lot more things on his own, and quite quickly you can see that it affected his younger brother.
Right.
And so what we did was, apart from have those discussion, we also said, what do you need? And together they came up with, well, maybe we just need to have a bit of time dedicated into the day where it's our time together. Because the older one said, I need to have my space, I need to have my time, yeah,
Yeah.
and my time for my friends, but I understand that he still needs me, so maybe we can have time together. And they've now termed it brother time. So they they have a dedicated time of the day, and that connection point, and it doesn't have to be long. Sometimes it's half an hour where they play a game together. But that connection point has really settled down the anxiety that was coming up for my younger son and allowed them to have a bit of balance. So I think that listening ear to find out what's underneath everything really gives space for the solutions to come up.
Absolutely. And like you said, that the solutions so often can come from them
Yes.
more powerfully than from us,
Yes.
because they're in it. They
Yes.
know what's
Yeah.
going on. And so having them come up with that solution for brother time, and also that really highlights what they do still have in common, like making sure that
Yes.
brother time is something
Yes.
that they love together, whether it's a game or a project or something
Yes.
that's very typical for your family. Um, and the other thing, and you may do this with your boys, is that sense of also connecting with each child as a parent in what they love and do. I think as a family, especially if you have kids who are close in age, who have been in similar kind of situations for a long time, as one of them begins to change, it may be that spending time with her older teen in a specific way that's really, feeds those needs of a teen, and then spending time with her younger son in something that's totally different. So that they're getting that connection and acknowledgement from a parent of their different stages of what they're needing for their development.
Absolutely, and I think you can't discount the power of that one-on-one time, that real connection time, and it really just settles the spirit for everybody. The entire family dynamic is different when that connection time happens. If we have a manic week and that connection time is missed, you can feel the difference in the dynamic within the home, right? Everybody feels more anxious. You find people are more irritable, but that connection time just soothes everyone. So I think you really cannot underestimate that one-on-one parent to child time. And I say to parents, because a lot of parents say, I don't have time for that. Do you understand what my list looks like? Especially for single parents, they were like, where am I going to find the time for that? But it could be half an hour. It could be in the kitchen preparing a meal together. Yeah, it could be just doing regular tasks, but you devote your attention to that child so that you do get that connection. So I tell parents, try to find it within your regular routines. It's there, that the space is there. You just need to be devoted to the activity.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that sense of like going to the grocery store, or
Yes.
that teen is soon going to be able to drive her to the grocery store. So there's some different things that can happen there. One other thing that I did notice in the question that kind of piqued my interest was, when it came to discipline around what happened, and that the initial reaction, I think it's so common and so normal, is to, take away the phone, ground the child, whatever it is, and that it sounds like he responded to that limit pretty like, that's not happening, right? I'm going to disobey you. And that's always a cue for me to be like, okay, is the the discipline that I'm having in alignment with what happened. Because really him wanting to be on his phone or wanting to have more independence and be with his friends is part of the whole thing that's happening with his brother. And so again, just looking to have alignment in the discipline. What are we trying to teach him? How are we trying to work with this, rather than punishment and taking away things that he may actually be needing to gravitate towards for connection with his friends. I'd love your thoughts on that too. But
I love it. And for me, what I say to parents is, where will you draw the line for that level of control? Will it be at 16, at 17, at 18? And I try to get parents to really see that the parent-child dynamic is a relationship. And relationships don't really lend themselves very well to control, right? If you had that type of relationship with a spouse, it would never work, where one is dominating and controlling the other. So really what you want to try to build and boost as a parent is your level of influence. And what's very, very strange when you do the research on influence is that in order to get access to influence another person, that person has to feel like they've got full authority and control over their lives. So the very act of trying to control our kids diminishes our influence, which is why we control more, right? So this didn't work, I'll take something else away, and I'll take something else away, because we have to amp up the control because we've lost our influence. So I would say to Vanessa to probably reassess that. Reassess the goals she'd like to have. He is 15. What kind of relationship do you want to have in a year, 2 years, 3 years? Do you want to have one that's more of a team spirit type of relationship? And if so, then that's a relationship you need to cultivate now, yeah? You need to say, okay, how can we work this out together, rather than I'll take something away from you so you do what I say.
Right.
Yeah?
Exactly. And that what we call discipline is, how we're teaching our children to be in a world where they're going to feel angry, they're going to want to lash out. And so, the discipline there might be like, okay, so what can we do to repair with our brother who was just hurt? What might you do? So that what he does next, his very next steps are about connection rather than isolation.
I absolutely love that, Carole, because the thing is that the word discipline has been tainted and we've made it synonymous with punishment. But to discipline is to guide. And if she can show how to guide wrap full circle, find out what the problem was, why was the problem there in the first place, what should we have picked up on before so that we could have mitigated this, what do we do next to kind of close some gaps, and then how do we repair? Because all relationships need that repair, and the strength of the relationship really isn't the fact that you have conflict. All relationships have conflict, but the strength of the relationship is how well you repair. So I love that you've added that in there for Vanessa. I'm going to try to wrap up for her now, and to kind of, because we've given her some amazing tips. The first thing was to look at what's changing in the relationship itself. Look at the dynamic, what's changing for the boys. And give them an opportunity to honor what works and what is changing, both individually and then collectively, and then empower them to be part of the solution. What does each of them really need in order for this relationship to feel like it used to before, or maybe feel a new way, because it's a new dynamic in their relationship. It's a new relationship that's being birthed. Add some one-on-one time. We had that in there to really boost the overall connection in the family. Work out what you're really wanting to teach, so that the discipline is more about guidance for how to live as opposed to punishment. And I think that's a really big one for Vanessa to look into. And really just focus on what type of relationship she would like to build with each of her boys. So is it one based on mutual respect? Is it one based on a spirit of teamwork? Or is it one based on control until there's no opportunity for control anymore? Is there anything else you'd like to add for Vanessa, Carole?
It's so beautiful. I love your recap. Just the one thing that I'm remembering is I just want to acknowledge her for the curiosity that she had and the awareness of something's different, something's shifting. And the ability to be curious as a parent, I think, is probably one of our best qualities that serves us well as we grow with our kids. So keep that alive, for sure, would be my only thing to add.
Fantastic. Thanks again so much for dropping by the village and for helping us with this question, Carole.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I just want to remind everyone, please dive into Carole's work. You will absolutely love it. You can get Carole's work at cmdowning.com, and I'll leave a link below. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We're all about sharing and supporting this village. So if you found value in this episode, be sure to share it with your family and friends. And remember, this is a weekly show. So if you haven't already, subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you'll be notified of our next episode. As we always say in the village, you're just one connection away. With love and gratitude, empower us. Until next time.